Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the ASPR webinar series. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us on Facebook Live as well. I'm Donna Ecclestone, webinar chair for ASPR. Today's presentation is Reaching Millennials in Our Recruiting World, and it's presented by Chris Matthew from the Inline group. I want to do a few housekeeping reminders before we get started. Please make sure you're logged in with your name and email. And if you're listening to this on Facebook Live and want credit, please email Sarah at ASPR and tell them that you listened to the Facebook Live presentation. You may type your questions in at any time in the Q&A window, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. And if you have any technical issues, please type something and we'll get back to you and help you get through this as soon as possible, and we'll respond. So again, thank you. And I want to welcome Chris, who will be presenting our webinar today. Go ahead, Chris.
Thanks so much, Donna. And thank you to everyone. I appreciate you all making the time. I know none of you ever show up to work and say, what am I going to do today? So I appreciate you sharing some time with me. Donna and Ken asked me to give you a little brief introduction about myself, and I'll try to make it brief so we can really get to the content of this. I've been in the physician recruiting industry for 15 years. I started off as a retained physician recruiter. And I like to believe that I found a lot of good success and fortune early in my career. But it dawned on me that there was a different way to do this. And it wasn't necessarily my idea. It was a chief medical officer who said, this is all I want. And the formation of the Inline group came from that conversation of that chief medical officer saying, this is all I want. And the light bulb went off, and here we are almost 12 years later that the Inline group's been in practice, serving as a sourcing company exclusively now in the primary care universe. I've been here for coming up on 12 years and have served in every capacity of our business, but am really excited to have the opportunity to test various tools. A lot of the tools that I'm going to show you today are tools that we have implemented here, and I'm excited to get into that. At any point, if you all have questions, I really do hope you'll use the Q&A section. Anything that you ask of me, I'll be very direct in my response. Let's get going. So who are millennials? They're born between 81 and 96. Millennials comprise 25% of the population. I would be curious how many millennial recruiters do we have on this webinar? I see we have about 90 participants so far. I wonder if the numbers hold true. Are 25% of you millennials? I guess maybe we'll find out a little bit later. 70% of millennials feel responsible for sharing feedback after a good or bad experience. I don't think that's something that's necessarily just reserved to millennials, but I definitely believe that millennials are quick to take their experiences to the different airwaves and through the different channels that we all have accessible to us. Millennials are 2.5 times more likely to be early adopters of technology. I think that surprises none of us here on this webinar today. And while millennials get a bad rap, right? At least I had an interview this morning interviewing someone to join our team, and he used the word millennials with kind of a negative connotation. They get this belief of being narcissistic and entitled. And although research does show that there are some of those that are very well earned, those reputations, it's not necessarily through the extent that the media and marketers want to report upon. Millennial physicians really want to make work-life balance a priority. Excuse me, you all. I'm coming back from the brink where I was this weekend, and yesterday, but I'm on my way back to health, so forgive me if you hear some coughs throughout this. Millennial physicians share us this. In this ranking, here are the top 3 things important to them. Location is number 1. Number 2 is work-life balance. Number 3 is compensation. Now that differs from the practicing workforce, the older workforce, where location is still number 1. Compensation is their second priority, then work-life balance. Millennial physicians prioritize work-life balance over a compensation package. So keep that in mind as you are pulling together competitive offers for millennial physicians. Millennial physicians, they want to be a part of entrepreneurial endeavors. My take on this is Shark Tank is out there celebrating its 10th season. Shark Tank has changed the world. Shark Tank has changed, and 10 years ago, a kid who was watching an episode of Shark Tank thought, I want to build a business. I want to influence my own destiny by launching a company. Along that path, they decided they also wanted to get involved in medicine. And I think that millennial physicians really do. They want leadership opportunities. They want entrepreneurial opportunities. They want to be more than just in a practicing clinical role. Millennial physicians rely on technology. Again, I don't think this is anymore something that's relegated to just millennial physicians because of the requirement of EMRs and the requirement and digitization that's taken place of common healthcare. So yes, millennial physicians may be easy, or it's easier for them to access and utilize technology. One of the things that I would say is that FaceTime changed the world. My wife and her family are all from the state of Kentucky. We live in Texas, but our boys have an incredibly close relationship with their grandparents because they get to see them every single day because of FaceTime. And I think that there are seasoned physicians, elder physicians on your medical staffs that have family members spread out across the country. And even if they're just spread out across town, they're used to using these modern day tools and platforms to be able to engage with their own personal lives that they cross over into their professional lives as well. And millennial physicians share with us here, at least at the Inline group, that school loan repayment is a big issue. The desire for stability is a big issue. Excuse me. And the lack of having to run their own practice. Those 3 things in those areas are going to be important to them as they choose an employer of choice. So the current situation. A long time ago, your physician recruiting department might be where a physician recruit or a new candidate may have started. But today, the world has changed. And today, the world is that before a physician is going to engage you, they're going to go check you out online first. They're going to do their job search from their mobile device. The number is that 63% of candidates are doing job search on their mobile device. Millennial physicians are going to be a higher rate, 78%, to find jobs in 2016 through their mobile device because it's connected to them, it's on them everywhere they go. I believe this in this order. These phones that even though I'm on a webinar, I still have my mobile device relatively near me. These devices, in this order, they are data collection devices, and I'm talking about cell phones. Then they are Google machines, and then the third is that they are a phone or a texting device. When physicians decide that they want to look and learn about opportunities, that mobile device is listening. When physicians want to say, I want to learn about an opportunity here in Texas, they're going to use their phone to figure out what options exist. And upon that search, upon finding what it is they see out there that's available, they're going to pick and choose in the opportunities they're going to engage in. Think about yourselves. Before you take action, before you go somewhere, do you Google it? Before you go to a restaurant, like this weekend, if you've got plans to go out to a brand new restaurant, will you walk in there without doing a review online? Will you walk in there without Yelping it? For most of us, the answer is no way. For most of us, we're going to say 100% of the time, we're going to be aware of the situation we're about to walk into before we walk into it, because we're empowered to do that now, because we have these mobile devices and we live in this mobile first world that gives us those opportunities. So if you think about that, if we understand and recognize that 63% of the workforce, but more importantly, 78% of the millennial workforce is using mobile devices to come and find jobs, how are you getting your jobs in front of that workforce right now? What methodologies are you using? Are you cold calling? Are you buying a list of a conference? Are you making those calls? Are you using retained recruiters and retained shops and contingent recruiters? Are you sending direct mail? How are those things making an impact in the mobile first world that the candidate lives in, but that also you and I live in, and the world that we're not going to give up on? So how can we go about reaching millennials? Well, it starts with eliminate the traditional sales approach, because no one wants it. Now, I know some of you on the line may say and may push back that recruiting is different than sales. And my opinion, this is just my opinion, recruiting is every bit of sales as the role that my salespeople have here, the role that my corporate HR person has here at the Inline Group, when they are out here to passionately share with individuals why they should choose us over others. That is sales. That's what I believe your roles are. You're engaging the workforce, you're creating maximum engagement, and you're trying to help influence that candidate of all the available jobs that are out there, of all the opportunities that exist. Why should a candidate choose your opportunity over any other opportunity? Now, this is going to sound terrible, especially because I'm a salesperson, but salespeople are awful, right? They're terrible. Traditional salespeople come across with a very clear-cut agenda. They're there to push their issue and their agenda only. So what's your approach like? How are you engaging that workforce? Are you here to showcase ABC Hospital in small town USA and only that opportunity? Are you helping to figure out what is this candidate looking for? And could your facility, could your community, could your system provide a good match for them? Are you putting you first or them first? And if you're putting yourself first, then I'm going to strongly encourage you, it's not about you. Make it about the candidate. Make your process easy and clear, and make sure that you can eliminate as many administrative burdens as possible for the candidate while they're early on into the recruiting cycle. I can say this because I have a close family member, actually, who works for the VA, and he shared with me that when he went to apply and join the VA, and he was a chief at another VA, and he came over to this one, the fact that he had to go through usajobs.gov all over again was almost enough of a reason for him to consider making a different move. And that is, we can't afford that. In this incredibly short supply market that we have in the physician recruiting world, we have to make sure we help candidates engage with us as quickly and as easily as possible. Consider yourself, if you were a doctor, is the process you have in place, is it physician friendly? Is it helping me learn about everything before I have to talk to you and your team? If it's not, I'm going to consider and urge you to consider looking at your opportunity from the candidate's perspective and how to increase that engagement from them to you. As I just kind of led with, this is all about the candidate. It's about their experience. They do not care if you hit your goal or not. Your C-suite is obviously laid out a number for you all this year. Here in 2019, all of you have a target in which you are aiming to hit. When it comes to the number of recruits that you and your teams, in some of your cases, just the sole recruiter, are responsible for bringing aboard. Let me make this very clear. The workforce doesn't care about your goals. because it's not about you or your hospital, it's about them. So this is one of the areas where you can really move the needle in your recruitment marketing. So much of recruitment marketing should mirror, and this is true of all marketing, but I'm going to say in particular recruitment marketing, it should mimic and mirror traditional human behavior. Right? So indulge me on this example. I know Donna, so I'm going to use Donna as the example. If I were to say, "Hi, Donna, nice smile. Do you want to get married?" That was Donna laughing there because it's absurd, right? The first part of that was nice. "Hello, Donna. Nice acknowledgement. You have a nice smile. Thank you for the compliment. Do you want to get married?" "Who are you, Chris? Why would you ask me such a question like that? I have no idea who you are and what you believe and why I should align myself long-term with you." If you think about your traditional and your current recruitment marketing, how much of your current recruitment marketing mirrors that example? "Hi, Dr. Matthew. We are ABC Hospital and we're hiring primary care docs. Message me for the details." Pass. No thanks. Who are you? Right? "I'm very busy. I'm Dr. Matthew. By the way, I just became a physician. I love this. I love this webinar. Why am I going to take the time out of my day to connect with you? You've given me no reason. I have no idea why I should spend my valuable time connecting with your organization. So court me. Share with me the proof points up front of all the opportunities available in Texas, of all the opportunities available in North Texas, of all the opportunities available in the Dallas area specifically. Here is why you should consider joining our opportunity. Bring me value. Help me understand why I should consider your opportunity. And then ask me out." Courtship. "Let's meet for coffee. Let me bring you flowers. Let me bring you chocolates. Then maybe we go have a meal together." Courtship is really important to the workforce because so much of your competitors, so many of your competing facilities, but also third-party agencies, they're all inundating the exact same audience of people. Third-party agencies are not empowered to be able to be fully transparent. Because of the placement fee, they have to be a little vague. Not a little vague, a lot vague, right? "I've got a great opportunity in a bedroom community of a major metropolitan area." I'm being kind of generic here, but that's how a lot of traditional firms market their jobs because of the placement fee. Well, that becomes white noise to a candidate. When an in-house team sends out an email blast or a direct mail blast or puts an ad in a journal and says, "We've got great jobs that offer," you ready for it? "Competitive compensation, great work-life balance, and a supportive administration." Well, the problem with those three things is that messaging would really stand out if anyone on this webinar, if anyone on the Facebook Live can please comment and share with all of us, if you can find one opening out there that says, "Uncompetitive compensation, terrible work-life balance, and an absolutely frustrating administrative team to lead you through it all." If you can find me that job description, well, then the kind of generic, competitive, good work-life balance, supportive administration really would stand out. My point in bringing this up is be specific. Specificity is what we as consumers want. It's not what we just want, it's what we demand in our everyday personal lives. Do any of us, again, walk into a situation anymore where we're going to make a big life decision without having done some research on our own to educate ourselves and to help narrow down the potential 10 options down to the 2 that we really want to learn about? Help the workforce choose you by providing that specificity. And here is a way to do that. Okay, here's a little trick. Anything that you believe is your true ace of spades, anything you believe really sets your opportunity, your facility, your community apart from your competitor, if you believe your opportunities to stand out are competitive compensation, great work-life balance, and a supportive administration, then answer this question behind each one of those statements of value. How do you demonstrate that? We offer competitive compensation. Sounds great. How do you demonstrate that? We offer phenomenal work-life balance. Sounds exactly like what I'm looking for. How do you demonstrate that? And we have a really supportive administration. Even better, because that's what's making me move now, because I don't have a supportive administration. So help me understand, how do you demonstrate the fact that your leadership is supportive? Put the answers to those questions of how you demonstrate what you believe your true value propositions are over the competing facilities around you. Put that into your job descriptions, put that into your writing, and help the workforce learn how to really narrow down, of all the choices out there, why they should choose you to be a part of their job search. Perception is reality, even if you think it's not important. It is. I share with our team all the time, what our intent is, it matters to us and us alone. The perception and the reception of our intent is the only thing that truly matters. So when you are doing your marketing, when you're doing your messaging, definitely run it by different folks, get different perspectives from some different areas of the hospital that might be able to open you up to some blind spots to recognize that this messaging could be interpreted a different way. Again, it may not be your intent to ever come across in a particular negative fashion, but it could be perceived that way. So I highly encourage, share this not only with the others on your team, but have a few folks that are outside of the recruitment department take a look and see what that is. And again, there has to be a way to actually truly articulate this. Now, I get a lot of pushback sometimes from clients that say, I don't want to list my compensation. But at no time did I say list your compensation. What I do think is important is you share how you demonstrate how competitive your compensation is. So here's another trick. Here's another tip that I have for you. Discuss things in terms of earning potential. At the end of the second year, going into my third year, what can Dr. Matthew make at your facility? Let's assume I hit every metric. Let's say I hit it out of the park on all the quality scores available. I take the extra call, whatever that is, let's put that out there. Since primary care is what the Inline group does and knows well, I'm going to talk about primary care. Let's say it's a family medicine job that Dr. Matthew wants to apply for. Let's say at the end of that second year, going into the third year, if I hit all those metrics, excuse me, I'm able to make $275,000 a year. Again, it can be a stretch, but the way to advertise that, the way to market that, to create the maximum engagement from the workforce is to demonstrate it by saying earning potential up to and beyond $275,000 a year. Now, Dr. Matthew may call you and say, Donna, I just saw this, $275,000 a year for family medicine. That sounds amazing. Tell me more. And then it's on you all to do what you do best. Engage the candidate. Right? None of you are looking for a physician who's just looking to make the highest dollar. What you are looking for is to engage. If the comp package brought the candidate in, your response, I would imagine, is something around similar to, absolutely, Dr. Matthew, I'll be happy to share with you the blueprint of exactly how you get to 275. But more importantly, what brings you here to North Texas? What has you in the market for a new opportunity? What has you, insert whatever your next qualifying question is. You all do what it is you do best. Start to engage and recruit the candidate through your process. It's a little different for me since I don't have any feedback. I'm going to keep on moving on. Okay, so we have now identified the message, right? We've figured out what our ace of spades are. We've figured out how to really demonstrate those value points that we believe really separate our opportunity. How do we get this message out to the workforce? How are we going to be able to reach more folks with less resources having to be utilized? That's exactly what the Inline group specializes in, and these are some of the tools that we use to help get that done. So some of the tools that we're going to talk about here are Textedly, Calendly, CoSchedule, Website Grader, the concept around nurturing email campaigns, and then automated email responses and online forms. Let's get into it. So Textedly. Textedly is a way, and there's a lot of different options out there. I have several that I can recommend. Textedly is what we like and what we prefer, what we use, but there are a handful of platforms I'm happy to share with you. It's a way from a dashboard that you can mass text blast candidates. So let's say you all go to the AAFP. When we were at the AAFP this last year in New Orleans, in the 2.5+ days in the exhibit hall, we had 221 family medicine doctors opt in that said, there's my number, my email, and my permission to engage. We can come back here, we can add them into our Textedly platform, and we can immediately then start engaging them through text messaging. Textedly is extremely easy to use. You pick a keyword. I'm going to give you an example. If you all text message recruitment solutions, just pull up your phone, text recruitment solutions, one word altogether in the body, and text it to 33222, you'll see just how easy this is. It's almost instantaneous, right? So think about this. If you can identify through networking, through your current medical staff, they may know some folks there locally that are unhappy. Maybe there's a facility that's going through some challenging times, and there's a group that you all might be able to take advantage of getting your branding in front of them. Textedly could be a way for you to manage all of that from one platform. Now, here's something that we definitely have insight and experience with. When we are engaging candidates at the Inline group, it's incredible how we can call a candidate and they'll send it to voicemail. But if we text the candidate instantaneously, we get a response. Because they may be in between patients. They're not in a place where they can take a phone call, but yes, they are actively looking. And yes, they want to set a time for later. I wonder how many of you have that same experience. You call someone, whether it's a doc or even a family member or even a child. It's definitely applicable with children. You call them, goes to voicemail. You text them, immediately you get a response. My response would be something like, call me now. But I highly encourage Textedly as a platform, or again, any number. I'll share a link later at the end of this where you all can message and then let me know if you want access to some of these tools and different platforms that we've tested out. Calendly is a great software to eliminate some just really basic headache that happens in scheduling people, right? How often you have Dr. Matthew, family medicine doctor, ready to go, you've screened, you've had your initial phone call, you now want to connect him with your medical officer, your chief medical officer. Well, she's very busy, and so you connect with her, and she says she's available these 2 days. Then you connect with Dr. Matthew, and he's only available these 2 days, and you go back and forth. And does it happen? Absolutely, it does happen. So sometimes Dr. Matthew just thinks this isn't that much of a priority for you all. There are other organizations that are making it a priority. I can only go on so many interviews. I've already spoken to the 3 or 4 chief medical officers I think I need to. By the time we organize and arrange finally for Dr. Matthew to speak with your chief medical officer, maybe that candidate disappears. Calendly is one solution to try to limit that from taking place. So the best part of this is that it's a free tool. They have a paid version. It depends on the size of your organization. We use the free version on ours for our company, and it works great. So the ability for the candidate to use Calendly They can come in and see your calendar. So because of that, they're able to look at your calendar and then pick, based on your calendar, what the best times that they would be available as well. When they see that, the attendance rate shoots through the roof because they know that they're going to be free at that time. They know you're going to be free. And Calendly has the ability to integrate with Gmail, Office, Outlook, iCloud. You can schedule as many events as you want to. You can send a personalized Calendly link. So it could be calendly.com/Chris Matthew if I want to invite you to something. You can also set it up to where if that physician schedules a call to speak with your chief medical officer this Thursday at 10 a.m., you can trigger different emails to go out to remind them, right? Maybe one Wednesday night, maybe one Thursday morning. Really looking forward to this phone call taking place. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Matthew. We're excited to speak with you. Extremely easy to engage and use. None of these tools do you need to be a technical wizard. I think that's something that's really important. Here's the homepage of Calendly. Co-schedule. A lot of you here today do a lot of email marketing. We do a tremendous amount of email marketing. And you can spend an incredible amount of time drafting the most brilliant email, right? The most emotional call to action that highlights all of those messaging topics we talked about earlier, right? What you believe your true value propositions are, and then how you demonstrate that. And you're going to craft all of this beautifully into an email. Well, one of the things that we recognize is that the email open rate is critical to making sure that that click-through rate takes place, that the candidate opens the email, reads the content of the email, and is moved then to take action of some sort. In the recruiting area, the average open email rate is 20%, but the click-through rate is 4%. Now, we're able to actually hone in. We do a lot of split testing here, and we can do different things. Those numbers can actually be dramatically improved, especially if you start retargeting certain audiences with different subject lines. That's what coschedule.com/headline analyzer does for you. It's a free way for you to test your subject line. So David Ogilvy, a big wig in the advertising world, says, you've already spent 80 cents out of the whole dollar of what you've invested in creating this messaging. It's in your subject line. And think about yourself, right? As my BD people here, as other business development salespeople try to get your attention, and they're sending you emails all the time. Do you read the emails or do you read the subject lines? Think about the same thing with your workforce and the candidates that you've brought aboard. Ask them, right? The good news is you really do have an incredible source to turn to and lean upon for some direction and insight. It's your current medical staff. But if you go to coschedule.com/headline-analyzer, you can test unlimited headlines. We have probably tested over 1,000 headlines there. It'll give you a score. And the higher that score, the better that headline is. Right? So I highly encourage you, take the subject lines that you've been using, go to this website and test them and see, is part of the reason that candidates are not responding, could it be the headline? It could be that you have a phenomenal score. If that's the case, at least now you know it's not the subject line. It's the content of the email. Either way, this can help you narrow down areas of improvement. And this is the front page of the CoSchedule website once you add /headline analyzer. Right here, you just type in your subject line and hit analyze now, and it'll spit out a score and break that score down into all sorts of areas where you can get an idea and understanding of why they're ranking it that particular way. Website Grader, this is another free tool. So by the way, so is CoSchedule. Website Grader is a free tool. It is offered and brought to you by HubSpot, which is a huge inbound marketing agency out of Boston, Massachusetts. Over the last 3 years, we've attended their annual digital marketing conference, and it's really opened our eyes to a lot of these things, a lot of these tools that we brought in. And I would absolutely say part of the responsibility of how the Inline Group has been able to achieve so much is because we've learned from incredible players in the market like HubSpot. If you go to website Grader, you'll be able to measure the effectiveness of your website. And it'll break it down in different categories of is it mobile friendly? Is it secure? Is it fast? All of these things are important because Google is going to reward you based on those things. If the website is not secure, you're going to be punished for that by Google. If the website is not mobile friendly, you're going to get punished for that by Google. If the website is slow, you will be punished by that because Google wants to make sure that its users, all of us who Google, we want the best experience possible. We want crisp, clean, fast websites that load perfectly on our iPhones or Android devices. So website graders are a great way to give you, again, an idea of areas of opportunity in your website, whether that be your hospital website, but I would, again, I would push you all even more. If you don't have a career page or a career site, that's really where you should be moving towards. Don't make me, Dr. Matthew, have to navigate your whole website, which does a great job of speaking to Chris Matthew, the dad, the husband, the person that lives in your community, to learn about the tools available in your community through my hospital and the services that are available to me through your hospital. But most hospital websites leave wanting for that physician who's trying to get in and quickly understand what's available. So I would, again, highly encourage you all to, if you're already down the path, congratulations. If you've already taken off and you have your own career sites, congratulations. Definitely run Website Grader through it and see if there are areas of opportunity to improve. Nurturing email campaigns. This is something that's really important as well. We refer to these as journeys. And when you create an email journey, it's about the concept of courtship, like we talked about earlier. I mentioned to you that text message, we have a lot of candidates that speak to us via text. At the end, all of us have to speak to these candidates that we recruit. We can never just email our way into it. But so the primary preferred communication method for docs and all candidates is still email, right? I'm still going to have a conversation with you, and then I still want an email around it. Well, if there's a way for us to have that conversation via email and lead them down a path of real engagement because they've had and enjoyed or digested 3 or 4 emails that built upon themselves, and they kind of had that conversation with us via their email without having to actually speak to us, when that candidate does finally take that action, they are a much warmer lead because they have really digested the value of what you all believe, again, to be your proof points, your value propositions, because you've put all of that together with the right subject line. They've read the great content of that email, and it serves as a reminder of all the jobs out there, why they should consider joining your team, your facility, your brand. The open rate, I mentioned a little bit, the open rate in our industry can be around 20%. You can maximize this to 75%. If you continue to retarget, and this is really where the magic happens, excuse me, is in the retargeting process. You can tell if someone, especially if you use videos in your email. If you use video in your email, you can really create some incredible stats and data-driven processes and plans to take advantage of what the data is telling you. In the industry, 20% open rate. Well, you can reach that up to 75% if we are retargeting these folks appropriately. If we're using email campaigns with video feeds, and we watch that a physician watches 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100% of a video, that tells us significant information. It lets us know at the 25% mark, they got bored. They left the email. So it requires us, we need to send a completely different type of email versus someone who watched 75% or 100%. At that point, we should really send a stronger call to action to really get them to take action on engaging with your internal recruiters. Right? That's how we can reach up to 75% in those open rates, is by reading the data and knowing exactly the types of messaging to be sending. Include call to action. Do not assume people are just going to want your brand because you believe they're well known in your market. Make it clear for them. Help them learn of all the jobs out there, again, why they should engage in your brand and your facility. Automated email responses and online forums. I think a lot of you do this really well. As I connect with a lot of you at different conferences and we stay in touch, you know that I'm at a conference, and so normally my time to take advantage of all this opportunity to connect is on my flight home. And on that flight home, I'm busy, sending emails to every connection I made while I was there at that particular conference. And a lot of you all always have really great, clear-cut email responses letting me know where you are. Something to keep in mind is that the peak time that we trace for candidates to engage is at 8 p.m. So if Dr. Matthews sends an email to you all and your in-house, whether it's, admin at ABC Hospital or your personal inbox, make sure there's some sort of automated response letting the candidate know, thank you so much for your inquiry. We received your information and we will be back in touch with you tomorrow. It may seem silly and crazy, but that little touch lets the candidate, gives that impression that this has become a priority for you, and because it's a priority for you, and they messaged you, so you know it's a priority for them. But because your automated response says that you'll be back in touch tomorrow, they know that this is a priority for you. Now, this is where it gets hard. You have to follow up tomorrow. You have to take action, right? Whatever that response expectation is set, make sure that you follow through with it. Online forums, lots of options that already exist out there. You all don't need to go build anything. Basic landing pages are something that anyone can build. Everyone on this call can absolutely have an online form created. I'm confident of that. What I would say is keep it simple. Limited information. I think we all as consumers, right? Think about yourself when you get driven to a page. You're willing to give your name and email address, maybe a phone number. Maybe you'll fill out a message, but definitely your name and an email. If something is interesting to you, you're willing to give your name and an email. That's kind of common currency that we're all willing to exchange as we want to learn about different products and services online. Candidates are no different. They'll give you their name and their email address, and then you start that nurturing email process with them. But don't ask them to fill out a full application, because now you've gone back to that creepy place of saying, hey, nice smile, want to work for us? Right? And let's keep in mind, don't be creepy. A sample of mine right now, thank you for your email. And in reality, I still check my email, even while these things are taking place. So let's jump into tool implementation, then we'll try to wrap up quickly and get some video or some questions addressed and answered, and see if we might be able to give you all a few more minutes left in your day, or at least back from this hour. So when should you start doing this? You all start doing this now, immediately, right? Especially with the free tools that I've lined out. There's no reason for you not to at least try it. Give it a go, right? Start with one tool, give it a good amount of time, right? If it's email marketing and nurturing, don't just do it on one email, right? Make sure that you've got good content, make sure you've got good subject lines, but then give it some time. When it comes to any of these things, just try. One foot in front of the other, put it forward. Last night, my wife and our boys, who are all at home not feeling great, we watched Zootopia. And a big message throughout that movie is you've got to try. You've got to try. And I say that to my son all the time. You've got to try. It's perfectly fine if it doesn't work, but we have to at least try. So I encourage you again, let's take action on these tools. Your IT department does not necessarily have to be involved for a lot of these things. Connect with them, communicate with them, collaborate with them. There could absolutely be some efficiency that they could help you reach. And again, connect with me at inline.group/ASPR webinar. I've got tutorial videos on all of these tools, and I've got a list of different tools that I didn't highlight in here that you can message me, and I'll absolutely follow through and make sure you get those. And also, I want to collaborate with you on how can I help you start implementing these things so you all can do more here in 2019 than you did in 2018. So, in closing, it's about the candidate. Focus on giving them a better experience. Know your message and share it openly. Do not be secretive. Let everyone know what your true value propositions are. Even if it's your competition, let them know, because that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be what their value propositions are, because they have to demonstrate that. Millennial physicians share a lot of similar traits from different generations, but ultimately we all care about the same thing, right? We all want to work where we want to work. We want to be compensated fairly, and we want to be able to have the time in our lives to pursue our life's work outside of work. Here's the kind of big aha. Everything I've showed you today, all of these tools are for you to implement, not just with millennial physicians. You know, someone once told me, if 25% of the U.S. population is millennial and 75% is not, let's just focus on winning the 75%. The problem there, at least in the primary care world, again, since that's all the Inline Group does, is that primary care world of physicians, it's going to be retiring at an accelerated rate. We have to win over the millennial physician. But at the same time, I encourage you, all of these tools and all of these concepts and having really sharp messaging, whether it's a 35-year-old physician or a 55-year-old physician, they both will appreciate and engage in your recruiting process because you're using these tools. So let's get to it. Sources, and again, a link to be able to request videos and a full list of the tools, or feel free to connect with me personally. I'm here to be of service.
That was wonderful. And we have some questions, and I wanted to discuss with you as well. But I did want to make the announcement that the ASPR webinar will be available on the ASPR website, probably within 24 hours, so you guys can have copies of this. The question that I have, or a couple questions that came in. One was, you referenced videos, having videos in your emails. There is some fear out there that it could be, the candidate might not open it because they might think it's spam or virus. Can you give me your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So if you're in communication with a candidate, let me approach this from two ways. If you're in communication with a candidate, then simply shoot them a kind of a leading text or leading email saying, hey, I'm going to send you an email with a video link in it. It's safe. It's good. If you're cold emailing or warm emailing a candidate, you've got a video link, that's absolutely something to be concerned with. Part of that's going to be the size of the video. So you do need to make sure that you shrink the videos through a process called compression. You need to compress those videos to be smaller in size so they can be delivered into those inboxes. And again, I'm happy to talk through some of those processes with your members, but also this is a function that a lot of IT folks would be able to navigate.
Okay, wonderful. Somebody just commented that another option is to create a web page that provides the link to the video. So you could put the video on a web page and then send the link to the web page. And talking about web pages, you had referenced that this generation, the millennials, are researching a lot before they're engaging in conversation and making that connection. Do you have data on what they are researching?
No, there's never going to be anything that's that I can provide that's going to be generic and apply to the masses.
Okay.
We do a lot of that research for our current clients, but here's what I would say: when you do a Google search, how do you type things in? How do you search for things? So think about how you're putting your information out there. There's something called meta tag, and on the back side of your postings, the part that Google is reading, make sure that whoever's running that for you is putting in terms that people would use to search. For example, I do not believe that someone's going to say family medicine opportunities in North Texas. I think people are going to say family medicine jobs in Frisco, Texas. And I think even more so, outpatient only, family medicine, 4-day work week jobs in Frisco, Texas.
Uh-huh.
Right. And the other thing to think about is 25% of Google search now is being done via voice. So how you type things and how you say things is different. So be sure that as you're working with whoever it is that you work with to get your openings out there, that they're also optimizing for voice search as well.
Uh-huh. Excellent notes to remember. And your presentation, you also referenced, and your comments just referenced, making sure that your message is clear and it's catchy, it's relevant, those words that will capture the eye are being used. Just an FYI to the people that have participated in previous webinars, we had previous speaker, Paul Ozark from Lake Health, that talked about messaging emails appropriately as well. So you, in your presentation here, Chris, really echoed exactly what Paul was saying, which is awesome. The other thing is you did a lot of information about many a tool. Can you tell me what is the easiest one to learn?
They're all, I mean, Website Grader is literally, you go there, you type your website in, it gives you a score. So there's nothing to learn there. You go and you use it, and then based on what that data tells you, it's on you all to take action, right? But if it gives you a bad score, you have to take action, because that means the people that come to your website are having a bad experience, one, and two, Google is punishing you without you knowing it because your website isn't optimized.
Yeah, and sometimes with those websites, it's the entity that you're working for, the IT that is creating those sites, not necessarily the recruiter.
Sure.
Can you use that website grader on those sites?
So absolutely. So what I would encourage you is run all of your hospitals through it, and then use that as an opportunity to show your C-suite, hey, regardless of physician recruitment, we're being punished by Google right now for patients that are trying to find us online, because this tool is telling us our website is not optimized. So that has to be fixed. But you're absolutely right. Y'all's websites are much more complicated because of the compliance issues around it. So one of the things that, again, I highly encourage is building micro sites, micro websites, one-page landing pages that can be kind of a career site to where a candidate could come and learn about you without having to deal with all the same scrutiny of your hospital website. That may not be possible, because I recognize that hospital systems are like little miniature countries and there's bureaucracy in every direction. But if I have my wish, these are my wishes that I would wish for all of you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And I did love your example, and I think a lot of people on the webinar also appreciated your example of when faced with money issues, talking about earning potential as a way to get those conversations started. I think that was excellent. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Let's see. I think that we have done an excellent job here. I don't see any additional questions. I do want to let people know that the presentation will be on the ASPR website. So you can listen again and take advantage of these wonderful tools that Chris has offered and reviewed for us. And I agree with Chris, you know, most of them are free, if not all of them are free. This is a great opportunity to refine your recruitment initiatives for 2019 and get those millennial candidates. So thank you all for attending.
Thank you all. Looking forward to seeing all of you in April.
Appreciate that.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.